Okay, today we're going to discuss CBD oil and magnesium, how they work together. There's a lot of, everybody kind of has bumped into this explosion of CBD all over America. Well, I'm living in California right now, so it's kind of like not overkill, but it's everywhere. And I think it's a good thing because there's a lot of natural compounds that we can use from plants, the sober compounds as well, not the compounds that get you high, but the sobering compounds of many different, even drugs, um, have amazing therapeutic benefits when we're able to master the sword and temper it properly, meaning we're able to use these compounds without triggering any of the psychotropic effects, and we're able to use the parts of the plants which can contribute to the right strains, varieties, and whatever that contribute to a sober healing modality to replace a lot of synthetic medicine. In that sense, the CBD movement can be a powerful gatecrasher into the orthodox medical world, which is, trying to, develop ever more synthetic medicines and more destructive um, side effects. The iatrogenic um, consequences of modern medicine have been unbelievably unreported. And so that's normal because the doctors have to report them. So who wants to tell on yourself? And so there's many who believe, and there's even been studies which have been done to show that the iatrogenic effects, meaning the effects which are caused by the doctors themselves, misdiagnosis, prescribing the wrong medicine, etc., or the complications of mixing different medicines, are actually the number two killer in America. We thought it was number six, but it's actually at number two. So whether you believe this or not, it just shows that there's doubt in this world of what we're doing with medicine and how effectively we're able to do this with the level of observation and consciousness that most doctors have. Now, I'm not saying that, or most people have, let's just put it that way. It has nothing to do with just being a doctor or not, but there is an indoctrination which can have a negative consequences if it's not fought against. Just like any sort of organization, you have to always try to fight against any sort of internal organization so that your mind is free, it's open, it's able to accept the new and things it doesn't know. But if it's overly organized or webbed out and, you know, even Darth Vader style, like super intelligent, super complex brain or whatever you want to call it, like it still can be completely cut off um, from not revelation, I guess, but intuition and other markers and things that you need to look at to understand something. You can't understand. It's like Goethe said, that when you combine the plant together, you have the whole is different than the combination of its parts, which is painfully obvious for most people to see that. But in practice, we seem to think we can take everything apart and figure it out. But when we put it all together, a new thing appears, which has more mystery to it. And so this this is a gate crasher. So I stand behind CBD in the what I think it can do for the world. I think it can open up the world to less synthetic medicines, especially for anxiety. There's a lot of areas in which it can help. I don't think it's going to replace antidepressants and, we're going to completely just go in the past and have a plant that's going to come in and save everyone like that. But I don't think it will replace certain types of depressions and certain types of, um, you know, um, like trauma and confidence and shame and all these things that are underneath a lot of these strategies that we use to run from our emotions and run into depression and stay away from facing things. It's not going to solve any of that. And especially if it's, THC imbued to help us escape even more. Like that is, that's almost like a joke. But when we're able to extract some of this, I mean, have you ever heard of the naltrexone movement? It's basically a metabolite which is not a cousin at all of heroin or opium, but it has the same effect on certain cells in the body as the opium would, except without the mind altering effects. And using this low dose naltrexone has been a huge medicine now. They're using it for many things, not only for healing some of the addictions and cravings at this very low dose level, but also for all sorts of other health conditions. So there is something powerful in these drugs, so to speak. But we have to learn to temper the sword and pull out what is beneficial and the right dosage and how to do this. You know, it's like Paracelsus said that everything is either poison or remedy. It just depends on the dose. And so that's true. I mean, you know, like alcoholism is the same thing. The dose, well, there you go. You go down you cross the Rubicon into, you know, drinking problem or drug problem or addiction. Well, then you're in another world. And some things happen to the mind in that world which cannot always be come back from. You know, it's almost like, how do you get back from, you know, that state? Well, usually people have to hit their own bottom to a certain degree, but that ties into a more spiritual theme, which we're not discussing here, but it is part of the healing. So, or it's actually the key part and primary part. But so how do they work together? CBD oil and magnesium oil. So magnesium oil should be understood as being the master supplement. It's not it CBD oils comes from a plant. The plants, we can live without the plant. Not like, you know, fully like the whole earth. I don't mean it that way, but I'm saying any specific plant in the body we can live without, but magnesium we cannot live without. And so one is more essential than the other. Even though we have an endocannabinoid system in the body, just like everything outside of the body has some sort of trigger or recognition in the body, this does not mean that it is as essential as magnesium itself. So the magnesium is, you know, primary and the CBD oil secondary in the way that their synergy works. Because without the optimal magnesium levels, inflammation takes over and the blood becomes less, I guess you could say, electromagnetic or less clean to a certain degree. Magnesium helps chelate a lot of toxins and acid residues and heavy metals and and any other kind of, like, you know, endocrine disruptors or other types of, you know, intoxications that we have in this ubiquitously intoxicated society that we're in, as far as, you know, from the air to the water to, you know, vaccines on down the line. So this is a way, this first level of inflammation must be healed, and that comes through the optimal magnesium levels. Without that, you can't go any further with CBD oil. I mean, you can, and it can help in certain areas, but you can't get this multiplier effect from it. You get just like a certain type of effect from it. So you need the multiplier effect. And that's probably going to be the future of natural medicine, is that natural medicines, because they're more of a long-term game and a prevention game than this quick shot anti-symptomatic medicine that we're in, we're probably going to have to learn how to synergize these natural medicines properly, use their forces in a triforce, you know, like to get those principles to come together strong enough to where we can see results faster. I mean, they won't come in one day, but over a few months we can get some rapid results coming through the proper synergy of these products. So the synergy of these two, they become like brother and sister or something, you know, like the magnesium really helps lay down the ground basis for the blood and for the circulation and for the chelation of toxins. And the CBD oil comes in there and helps with the nerves. It helps, there's something called glutamine synthetase. Now, glutamine synthetase allows for ammonia to be removed from critical organs, the blood, and it reduces inflammation, and which is, you know, the etiologic starting point of cancer. Ammonia is found in excess from adulterated, protein-rich, high-protein, low-fat, low-gelatin diets, but is unfortunately a needed solvent for our overworked kidneys and liver filled with toxins and aluminum from the environment, in the water supply, from soy, from vaccines, antibiotics, pollution from nano-aluminum sprayed into the air from above, or from concrete manufacturing. This ammonia that breaks down the aluminum. So this glutamine synthetase is key to helping to break down some of the aluminum that's trapped in our body, trapped in our organs, trapped in our kidneys through vaccines especially, but also through the environment. From aluminum smelting to the fabrication of concrete to the epoxies and the drywall, and there's millions of areas where these things can leak and be coming through. Supplements and dicalcium, phosphate, and these different types of areas where you have, where you're ingesting something that also has a little bit of an aluminum in it because it hasn't been controlled for that or whatever. And then you also have it through the air. Like I said, volatile. There's nanoparticle aluminum. There's things that may even be sprayed into the air. I mean, there's so many possibilities of where this stuff is coming from. But vaccines should already clue you into your own. You're already affected. You already have it in you. So the aluminum in the vaccines is called macroaluminum, and it's a type of aluminum which is big enough to where it never comes out of the body. It's meant to never be removed. So it can be removed, but it takes a couple 1-2 punches in order for the body to dilate enough to get this stuff out of the body without harming the cells, without harming the walls or whatever. And so that's why that's why cancer happens. All these tumors and tumor genesis. What do you think this is? A lot of this is different types of chemicals, compounds, toxins, heavy metals, and things which are, dangerous in the body, very toxic, which the body has not figured out how to get rid of. So it just builds a little world around it, a little ball, and stores it and says, okay, we'll deal with this when we have enough, when we're suffering less from deficiency, which is widespread, and we can get our deficiencies back on track. Then maybe once we're at optimal levels with vitamin D and A and cod liver oil, fermented cod liver oil, walkabout emu oil for the vitamin K7, K2, MK4, MK7. These metabolites of this vitamin are found in the animal kingdom only. And this emu oil has been one of the places that I guess is easier for people. I mean, foie gras would be another spot, but which is, if you're in California, you have to, it's kind of tricky. But you can still always pull things off. But what I'm saying is that, this trinity of magnesium oil, the vitamin K2, animal emu oil, and the fermented cod liver oil, they're going to play I call that the threefold remedy. They're going to play a role in just getting the deficiencies back online to where we're back to the optimum levels of these things in the body. It takes 6 months, but it won't cost you a fortune, $100 maybe, a couple times, and you could knock some of this out. And so, once you have these deficiencies knocked out, then the body's like, okay, now we can get rid of some of this stuff. So there has to be a kind of system working right, blood working right, before they even attempt to get rid of it. The body is intelligent, so it's not going to attempt it unless there's certain conditions are met, and so our abundance, I guess you could say. So this glutamine synthetase is carried out. Let's see here. There's also part of an article that I wrote on our website, theheartoftradition.com, and I'll just read here. Magnesium deficiency creates inflammation in the blood and tissues. Many doctors, like Dr. Mark Sirkis and Dr. Gregory Liu, believe that neuropathic conditions come from an overload of glycoproteins in the blood, which damage the nerves. whereas the endocannabinoid system in the body, when stimulated or informed by repeated doses of CBD oil, preserves glutamine synthetase, which is carried out by the liver, kidney, and by the astrocytes along the brain barrier. So the CBD preserves this synthetase and allows this process, it helps this process of the breakdown of the ammonia. So this is the way I see this, more in an esoteric way, is that the magnesium comes and lays a foundation for the chelation of these toxins and the chelation of this aluminum. Once it is broken down by this ammoniac principle of glutamine synthetase, and the CBD oil comes in there and protects the nerves and protects the exodus process. So these things, so it's almost like a dilation where, you know, even anxiety is a tightening, right? So this is a loosening, and that's why we have this effect of, you know, that's what the effect in general of the hemp plant is this kind of, oh, you know, it has this dilation. And so what we're doing here is we're using the medicinal part of it, not the psychotropic part of it. But, and so we're getting this to open up as we have the basic foundation of the chelation set up through glass bottle, Zechstein Inside label, has to have that logo on there or it's not the real Zechstein, and transdermal magnesium. So once this is in there, this is going to start pulling this stuff out, and the CBD oil is going to allow for a kind of an opening of the tissues and push this stuff through. All right. So you need these two to work together. If you use them alone, you can get some relief. There's some relief, but they're much more powerful together. And I would say that the transdermal magnesium is the most important cure to do. It's the number one deficiency. It's much greater than CBD deficiency or whatever, because it's widespread. It's based on the soil and minerals, and it's much more essential than any one plant could be. So yes, these things work together. This helps kind of bring this about, this full-blown detoxification. I do think that homeopathy also plays a key role here. Like this, I would add on top of that, like especially Sankaran system, sensation level homeopathy, which is not something that a lot of Americans know about or even understand to a certain degree. It's bigger in Europe. It's much bigger in India. And so just trying to find a practitioner. Most of this stuff can be done through Skype, through the UK, and you can even contact rajansankaran.com and find out maybe a practitioner through him or his wife, who is also a practitioner. So you're trying to find this method of listening, this method of using the patient to have the patient guide the doctor into a type of listening where they're able to detect kind of the basic sensation and problem of the person. It's like there's a basic level of disturbance, and that basic level can be described by you, and the doctor who is proficient in this question taking or anamnesic kind of inventory that he does to help figure out what's happening. This can bring you eventually to the basic sensation, which is underneath your disharmony. So I know it's asking a lot of people to even go there with the homeopathy. Maybe you don't even have to. Maybe you don't even have to believe in it. You can maybe just, go along with it at first. But the homeopathy I've found is a key to detoxifying the vaccines. I don't know why. I feel like they're like, what do you call it? Evil twin and good twin. They were both created around the same time, homeopathy and vaccines, and they both kind of work on some of the same principles, but the vaccines are more of a spiritual medicine using higher dilution, more succussion, and this principle of succussion, where you're kind of forcing the molecules at a molecular level to form little grape-like clusters through succussion, and this concentrates the active principles in the solution. And then you're diluting it on top of that. So as you go further and further with this process, you end up with only an informational kind of remedy, which a lot of doctors and stuff don't believe in. But I found that this spiritual level of medicine, or whatever you want to call it, is working to help detoxify these vaccines and reverse some of the effects of this aluminum. So there is solutions. Um, um, and as far as anxiety and a lot of the other things that I've seen CBD oil used for, yes, I feel like these things can all be bettered if you use them in synergy with transdermal magnesium. So in the future, we'll probably figure out a lot of this stuff. I'm just trying to bring it about through connecting a couple dots here. And it's not about like selling products. It's about helping people see that the deficiencies are actually causing a lot of their health problems and nothing else, actually. And so the deficiencies can be healed through these sacred supplements at this point. But then, of course, on down the line, we have to heal the food supply. And so that is one of the reasons why we're so deficient, because we don't know how to find the right foods that can heal us anymore. A lot of these are laid out in my book, The Heart of the Mysteries of Nutrition, which can be found on Amazon. Life-changing ideas to heal the body. But you can also check out more of our podcasts and check out our video page or our podcast on Pandora, Stitcher, Apple, iTunes, and even Spotify. So yeah, come check us out if you want our products. See us over at theheartoftradition.com. Thanks.